Hello, good morning. It's Imogen here with Body Intelligence, and I'm here with my guest and collaborator now on some workshops and programs, trauma awareness activist Shay Seaborne. Welcome. And this is the last of this little series of conversations we're having. We've been talking about different aspects of trauma and stress and how it relates to neurobiology and neuroscience and different aspects that come up in my work and our work together that she's found helpful personally as a trauma survivor. And she also has a ton of knowledge about the neuroscience and neurobiology, and we get very excited about how the practices and the concepts from body intelligence kind of tie in so much that Shay will always be piping up, well, neuroscience backs this up, and it's like we get very excited about that. Yeah, and we're now collaborating. As I said, we're kind of pairing exactly what I said, Shay's experience as a trauma survivor and her understanding of the neuroscience relating to trauma with the practical tools, the concepts from my body intelligence work. Yeah, so today's topic is curiosity. We're very curious how this conversation goes. But today's topic is curiosity. And we titled this Curiosity is Crucial for a Reason. But I want to kick off with a quote that I just read in Brené Brown's latest book, Atlas of the Heart, which is, she's delving into, I think there's 87 that she's categorized as key human emotions and experiences. And there's a whole section on curiosity. She writes this: curiosity's reason for existing is not simply to be a tool for acquiring knowledge. It reminds us we are alive. So I really like that quote. And so I want to now hand it over to you, Shay, maybe how you relate to that quote, but even more importantly, what you mean and understand by curiosity and why it's important.
Thank you. I appreciate that quote because to me it reminds us that when we are curious, that's really when we're only fully in the present, fully alive. If we're focused on even the bug in the corner, that's taking away from being curious about the whole environment. So we are present when we are curious.
So you I noticed that you paired the word being open with being curious, and that's a kind of really key tie-in with my body intelligence work, if I can get the words out, which is based in Alexander technique principles, which is all about being more open and expansive. What we might think of as more physically, you see the physical manifestation of that in people's posture and how they move and how they coordinate themselves. But of course, mind and body are
yes
interconnected, let's put it like that, to say the least. So when we're in a curious frame of mind, it's not only more openness to new information, what's going on, what's happening, it's more openness within us, literally, physically.
Yes. Bessel van der Kolk says you can't change the body without changing the brain, and you can't change the brain without changing the body. So the work you're doing from the somatic level does change the brain. And relational neuroscience tells us that the brain, mind, and relationships um, integrate and alter one another. So yes, being more open because of the body work or being more open because of the nervous system work is going to change how we relate to other people. And when we are open, that's when we can be in what's known as the ventral vagal state, the pro-social state, where we feel safe, we feel able to connect with other people, we feel able to include other people, and we're able to cooperate and do things together. When we don't feel safe or when we close off, the opposite occurs.
So that seems like it's got some good hints at why this might be really important for people dealing with trauma and chronic stress. Do you want to say a little bit more about that aspect? About
yeah, just a little
or a lot. Yeah.
Well, of course, being curious about one's condition is really important. You can't figure out how to recover if you aren't curious about it. And same with your providers. If they're not curious about it and they think they know the answers, they're probably not going to be able to help you very much, especially with PTSD, because it is so uniquely presented by each person, and our medical system often doesn't recognize even what the symptoms are. And
it seems that would matter in kind of any social interaction where you're opening up about something that's happened to you, stressful, traumatic, important to you. And if someone doesn't meet that with open curiosity and rather is just fixed on what they think they need to say, or you don't feel heard or listened to, you don't get that real connection.
Being sure of the answer is a sure way to close off the connection. What you just described reminded me of an encounter with a surgeon. I was having a consult about the skin cancer, and I had given his assistant a page telling about my PTSD, and he came in, he said, "How are you?" After he burst through the door and scared me half to death. Oh, no. I said, "Well, I'm really anxious." He goes, "I know." He goes, "Just try to think about how great it'll be to have this behind you." Yeah. That was it. I was done with him.
So, I mean, on the surface, that doesn't seem that awful, but it was totally bypassing.
Yes, what was actually happening. Yes. That there was this person in front of him who'd experienced severe distress, including medical abuse, and needed some, psychosocial support from her provider. And that was the best he had to offer. That was what his training and his life had given him to help somebody like me
in that moment.
So I couldn't even go back there. I was, found another surgeon who actually could listen.
So receiving curiosity from others is very important, it seems like, to the healing process, if that's the right word. And yet we can't control what other people do.
Right.
But we maybe can have a little bit of control about ourselves. And there are ways to cultivate curiosity in ourselves. And I think my body intelligence work, that's the piece that we work with, right? We work with what we can do in ourselves. And my whole approach is very moment by moment, what you're thinking and what you're noticing, and having this idea of being curious, wondering, what do I notice about what's happening now, and now, and now, right? So, because even moment by moment, if you're curious about something that happened, and then you can like go down this path, oh, that happened, and then you're not noticing and being curious what's happening now and now and now. So it's a little bit of a conundrum sometimes. But getting in this state, for want of a better word, of being more openly curious can be challenging to be to find, and it seems like some of the ideas which are very, very tiny help people cultivate that in themselves over time.
Exactly. Yes, that's a great way to describe it. Well, as you know from working with me, trauma survivors can have a hard time even being present, being in their body. Hypervigilance makes us tend to be worried about the future or trying to resolve the past, because that's how our brains are wired.
Or maybe not. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I did. And I'm also remembering maybe not even want to know what's going on in your body, especially if the trauma is related to something physical.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And that, as you know, was an issue for me. It was terrifying to be in my body, in part because there were so many pain signals occurring from all sorts of injuries and chronic pain that I couldn't tolerate. To be in my body was to be sucked into the trauma vortex. So being able to take it in little tiny drips, little frequent tiny drips, day after day, hour after hour, even year after year, has helped build that part of my nervous system that can not just tolerate being present, but actually appreciate, enjoy, and keep building greater capacity. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, it's been such a pleasure and an honor. I'm thinking that, or that the nature of the tiny moment of curiosity maybe helps it be more accessible and tolerable, because it's not like I have to be in this state for hours. I have to, you know, which I don't know anyone. It can be like that. You know, human nature was fluctuating all the time through all sorts of things.
Yes, and that's one of the things I love about working with you is that you show us ways that we can very gently and easily touch into our bodies or a difficult whatever, and come back to ease whenever, like as quickly as we need to. We don't have to like you said, hang out there for a while. It can be just like, oh, think about that for a second. Okay, now I'm back to noticing ease. And there we are. When you're noticing ease, you are being curious about a specific thing, but you're being curious.
But and you're curious about how that might show up right now, if it shows up, but you're not knowing how it will show up, which is different. Like, I want ease in my neck, which I might want very, very much, but trying to make ease happen in my neck is very different about being curious about, if I do this little bit of what we call constructive thinking, I wonder where I might notice a little bit of ease, you know.
Yes, and that reminds me of something you said in class a couple weeks ago about the unexpected response actually gives us more. You said information, and really, it's information about ourselves.
Insight,
and when we know what's going on in ourselves, then we can figure out what to do to help ourselves. Get other people to help us.
And it's so easy. I mean, I do it all the time myself, to kind of think I know what I need or what's going, you know, and maybe often do. We have a lifetime of experiences, you know, of ourselves.
Yes,
and it can be helpful to, as much as possible, be constantly open and curious about what's happening and what's going on now, and that you might get some new piece of information that maybe that's a new piece of the puzzle, or it might be a massive shift of, you know, realization, or it could just be like, oh yeah, that's really what I thought. You it's confirming.
Or even, I can't really tell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think curiosity helps you be in uncertainty, which is really weird for me to say because I hate the thought of uncertainty. I'd love to be able to control everything, and yet I know that is not a helpful thing in me, mentally or physically. And so curiosity really helps me be with uncertainty, which is life.
Yes. Yeah. It's what is. When you're curious, you're open to what is, rather than having your preconceived ideas or focusing on what you want to believe, or what you've been taught, or even what your experience has shown you. Like you said, we often make decisions based on what's worked for us, what's, what the rules are or whatever. And if we're curious, we may get that bit of information that says, like you noted, oh, actually, I really can't stand this group of people or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm just going to check my notes because I know we had some points that we wanted to make about the different aspects or ways that curiosity can play out, and it's important. And you noted right from the get-go that receiving that curiosity from others is really important. But when we are ourselves curious, we can be curious about our own inner experience, but also curious about our environment, curious about other people. And I think that's the flip side of what you were saying about what you'd want to receive from others, that when you're curious, it helps you be that person for someone else.
Yes.
Rather than knowing what they need and what, Yeah.
And that's exactly what our nervous systems are built for. In interpersonal neurobiology, they say, I need my nervous system to see your nervous system seeing me. And your nervous system can't see me if you already have a preconceived idea of what's going on with me, because for one thing, my nervous system and I change all the time. Human beings are dynamic. It's scientifically proven that how we treat each other changes who we are. So if I don't see you for 6 months and I've been treated badly by a lot of people, that's going to make me a different person. And if you're responding to me like you knew me 6 months ago, it's not going to, you're not going to be able to see me, and I'm not going to feel it. And that disconnect is going to make things worse.
Yeah. And vice versa, whatever the situation, I mean, in whatever way or whatever's happened. So I wanted to also note a few of the other benefits of curiosity. Coming back to Brene Brown's book, she mentioned that there's been that researchers are finding all sorts of evidence that curiosity is correlated with creativity, intelligence, improved learning and memory, and problem solving. I think it has even more than that, but those things in itself are highly desirable, in my opinion, to have as a I don't know, well-rounded human being. Anything else about other benefits of curiosity? You mentioned keeping us in the present. Even if we're curious about something that happened in the past or that might happen in the future, the act of being curious is a present moment.
And it also gives us a little bit of distance so that we can feel safer from if it's a difficult situation, and even take a breath and stop and start figuring out how we might want to respond.
Yeah, it gives you that space, which is a very open space. Yeah. I think we might have covered everything. Yes.
In under 40 minutes. How do we do that?
Yeah, 20 minutes. Yeah. So if you are curious to learn more about our work together, we do have our first course. We did a workshop in December, a one-off. We've got a 4-week course, Foundations of Regulation, starting on Monday. We've still got a couple of spaces left if you're interested. I'll be fancy and put the little web address on there. I'll pop that in the description or the comments too, if anyone's interested. Yeah, so that starts Monday, February 14th. You can show a little love to yourself. And I'm really looking forward to it.
So am I. It's going to be a lot of fun and really interesting.
Yes, and I'm very hopeful that we can help very much the people on the course. It seems to me that stress and probably trauma too are at an all-time high right now. So, yeah. All right. Stay curious, get curious, and come check out our course. All right. Bye, everyone. If you have any questions or comments, we'll get back to you afterwards. We can't actually see the comments during the live video. All right. Bye.